Hello, my name is Matthew Frisby, and I will be introducing Team 12's narrative presentation. Our presentation is comprised of John Emery, Case Miller, Robert Reyes, Sam Wise, Erika Samaripa, and myself. With that, I'll be covering NVIDIA's key message. NVIDIA's key message. NVIDIA positions itself as a leader in accelerated computing, AI, and graphics technology, powering innovation across industries like healthcare, automotive, climate science, and entertainment. The company aims to convince stakeholders that its platforms are essential and most advanced foundations for driving AI breakthroughs and solving the world's most complex problems. Through investor messaging, executive statements, press releases, and promotional content, NVIDIA presents itself as a trusted engine behind the AI-driven future. Now, with that, I'll hand it off to John to cover NVIDIA's internal messaging.
When we look at NVIDIA's internal messaging, there are three big components that really stand out. First, they focus on why their technology matters. Internally, NVIDIA reminds employees that they're leading the way in accelerated computing, AI, and graphics. And their work powers important areas like healthcare, self-driving cars, climate research, and also entertainment. So the company makes sure teams know that their efforts are part of something important and real. Second, NVIDIA builds a strong sense of purpose and pride. They push the message that their platforms are not just useful, they're most advanced foundation for solving the problems in the world. Whether it's helping doctors, scientists, or engineers, NVIDIA wants employees to feel like they're building the future. And lastly, the company shares the message across all parts of the business. They use meetings, emails, and updates from leadership to keep the team focused on and motivated. It helps create a shared vision inside the company so everyone feels like they're on the same direction. So NVIDIA's internal message is really about purpose, alignment, and motivation. They want employees to be excited about their work and understand how it fits into the bigger picture. And now I'll hand it over to Robert to talk about external messaging.
Hello. NVIDIA's external messaging has, I believe, 5 different points. Emphasizes leadership in AI and accelerated computing to reinforce its industry authority. Communicates commitment to innovation, efficiency, and ethical AI development through official channels. Addresses public concerns, such as energy usage, data privacy, to build trust with consumers and regulators. Promotes partnerships and US-based investments to align with political and economic interest. Uses storytelling in investor calls, media interviews, and social media to present NVIDIA as a cornerstone of AI future. And now I'll hand it off to Sam for.
Ensuring political experts agree with and support NVIDIA's messaging must be a high priority for the company, as is responding effectively to address those concerns. NVIDIA tells a story of innovation and advancement, but there are growing concerns about the role of AI in geopolitical relations. Even in the U.S.'s often divided political climate, Republican and Democrat senators are united in criticizing NVIDIA. Recently, Senators Jim Banks and Elizabeth Warren released a letter criticizing NVIDIA's planned research and development endeavor in China, citing national security concerns. Among their criticisms, the senators accused NVIDIA of placing profits over national security, and they demanded detailed information from the company to provide assurances the company will not engage in activities that unintentionally aid the Chinese government. At the same time, the Trump administration celebrated NVIDIA's commitment to produce $500 billion in AI chips domestically over the next 4 years, with planned manufacturing sites in Arizona and Texas. NVIDIA will likely receive support from political experts in these states who anticipate a positive impact on their local economies. Economic experts are the next priority for external voices for NVIDIA. One thing they all agree on is that NVIDIA is poised for long-term economic success, but that comes with 2 notable critiques. First, a recent announcement that CEO Jensen Huang filed to sell off $800 million in stocks through 2025 raised questions about the company's economic outlook and its corporate governance practices. Huang has been selling stocks over the last few years, but never at this volume. And then his filing was followed by a number of other key executives who also filed to sell off stocks. Having top executives unloading stocks does not support NVIDIA's messaging of continued success. And while NVIDIA is the second highest valued company in the world, its status was recently challenged by the Chinese release of its own AI platform, DeepSeek. One of the most notable criticisms we saw regarding NVIDIA was that they've been able to act as a monopoly in the market. So China's rapid development and release of DeepSeek not only sent the US stock market into a tailspin, but it also opened up further discussion of the possible legitimate challenges that NVIDIA could face within the AI industry over the coming years. And because of this, there are key voices questioning if NVIDIA is overvalued in its stock pricing. And finally, technical experts represent the last priority stakeholder whose view NVIDIA is highly impactful to its messaging. AI is a new technical frontier because the average American may not have a comprehensive understanding of how AI works behind the scenes. NVIDIA depends on support from technical experts to champion its products. And technical experts agree that NVIDIA's use of energy and potable water pose long-term and unknown risks to climate change and the environment. I'm going to turn it over now to Erica, who's going to talk a little bit more about some of those concerns.
So the first big challenge I want to discuss is global trade restrictions. Right now, there's limits on selling high-end chips to countries like China. This creates a lot of uncertainty. These kind of restrictions can lead to major revenue loss and also make it harder to maintain strong relationships with these global partners. On top of that, there's also pressure to keep up with production and innovation inside the US, which can drive up costs and slow down development. The second challenge has to do with artificial intelligence, especially the ethical concerns surrounding it. The company produces products that are use AI power systems, and these raise a lot of public concerns. People are worried about things like job replacement, biased algorithms, and even the spread of false or misleading content. As AI grows, there's also more pressure for companies to be clear about how their technology is being used and whether it's actually helping or hurting. So, communication around these issues is more important than ever. The last challenge has to do with environmental impact. These high-performance chips and data centers use a ton of electricity and water. And while the company has made efforts to be more sustainable, some critics still question if this kind of tech growth can last long-term without serious environmental consequences. So not only does the company need to improve on sustainability, it also needs to share those efforts in a way that builds trust with the public. All three of these challenges, trade limits, AI concerns, and environmental pressure, shape how people see the company and what they expect from it going forward. These are also things that make communication such an important part of their strategy. I'll now pass it over to Chase, who's going to talk about how this company is responding to these challenges.
All right, now that we've covered the key challenges NVIDIA is facing, I'll walk us through how the company is responding to these challenges. First, let's talk about the export restrictions, especially those affecting sales to China. NVIDIA has developed a specialized chip called the H20, which is designed to comply with US regulations while still serving the Chinese market. Even though revenue from China has declined, NVIDIA's total revenue hit $130 billion last year, which proves their global demand is still strong. Second, to reduce reliance on foreign supply chains, NVIDIA announced a large $500 billion investment into US-based infrastructure. This includes new data centers and research facilities across multiple states. And that's not just about compliance, it's also about building long-term supply chain resilience and creating high-skilled jobs. On the environmental side, NVIDIA has responded to criticism by launching more energy-efficient GPUs like the new Blackwell Ultra, which delivers more performance with lower power usage, and that helps to reduce the environmental impact of AI data centers. NVIDIA is also protecting its market share with strategic partnerships. One example is its collaboration with a company called Cadence, where NVIDIA GPUs are powering a new supercomputer that helps design simulations in industries like the aerospace industry or the biotech industry. They're also expanding physically too. They just bought a new 13-acre office campus in Silicon Valley to strengthen their domestic operations. Regarding AI ethics, NVIDIA understands the public's concerns about bias and misinformation, and the CEO has repeatedly spoken out about the need for responsible AI development and NVIDIA continues to provide tools that support transparency and safety in AI applications. Finally, it's worth noting that NVIDIA's financial performance remains strong, even with export restrictions, tariffs, and rising competition. They've managed to grow revenue by over 100% year over year, showing the market still has strong confidence in their long-term strategy. And this concludes our presentation. Thank you for watching.